Hello and welcome to Adam's Music Box, where today I want to talk about the life and legacy of one of the finest bass players to ever touch the instrument and what interesting bass guitars he had. This is someone who might not necessarily be a household name to casual listeners, but musicians knew him and loved him. Many would put him in the position of top bass player ever. Many more would put him in the top three. I think almost most people would have him in the top five. Just an absolute talented guy. Now, even if you're, like I said, a casual listener, you will have heard many of the albums that he played on, and I've written a few of my favorites down. Let's start with just about all of the classic Al Di Meola albums, and this is, the golden era of jazz fusion. So, Land of the Midnight Gypsy, a Midnight Sun rather, Elegant Gypsy, Casino, Splendido Hotel, Tour de Force, Electric Rendezvous, Tiramisu, Kiss My Axe. Funny name. Flesh on Flesh, Cosmopolitan Life, and Vocal Rendezvous. All of those great Al Di Meola albums. And who was the bass player? Anthony Jackson. Some of my favorite Roberta Flack albums: Feel Like Making Love, wonderful album. Blue Lights in the Basement, my favorite Roberta Flack album. Her self-titled 78 album, and her final collaboration, her posthumous collaboration with Donny Hathaway and others. He's played with the great guitarist Eric Gale. He's played on all of the classic Shaka Khan albums, no relation, but he's played with the wonderful Steve Khan on most of his great albums. Another great jazz guitarist, the great drummer Harvey Mason, played on his albums, played in the Buddy Rich Band, played on the best Lee Retinour albums, including Captain Fingers, an all-time classic. He also played on the Captain's Journey, Gentle Thoughts, Festival, On the Line, Cool Rit, and others. Played with Mike Stern, another great guitarist. Grover Washington Jr., one of the absolute legends of sort of that transition between jazz fusion and a more pop oriented jazz. He played on some of Patty Austin's great albums, including her CTI albums, Havana Candy and In My Life, which are more jazzy, and one of the best R&B albums of the 80s, bar none. Listen to it if you don't have it. Every home should have one. Who's the bass player? Why, it's Anthony Jackson, of course. And I've written down others. I mean, the list goes on and on. He's played with the Bee Gees. He's played with one of my favorite pianists. Check him out, Gene Harris. He's played with lots of Motown bands, Motown acts, including the Four Tops. He's played with the great jazz singer, the great jazz fusion singer, you could call him, Al Jarreau. He's played with the impeccable saxophonist, Yusef Lateef. He's played with the great Webster Lewis. He's played with Pat Metheny, another great guitarist that we all know and love. He's played on the Ship Ahoy album, the best album, in my view, by the O'Jays, classic Philadelphia soul. He's played with Esther Phillips. He's a wonderful singer, by the way. He's played with Diana Ross, who everyone knows. He's played with Ray Russell, a lesser known guitarist, but one of my favorites ever. He played with the late great saxophonist David Sanborn. He played with Carly Simon, the great trumpeter Doc Severinsen from The Tonight Show. He played on the Steely Dan album Gaucho, some would say their best album, certainly their best produced album. He's played with Nancy Wilson of Heart. He's played with the great guitarist John Scofield. He's played with John Sebastian. You'll know him from The Love and Spoonful. He's played on Madonna's first album, or her self-titled eponymous album, which is a tautology there. I've written so many of these down. Freddie Jackson, Joe Jackson, Quincy Jones. The list goes on. I think Joe Farrell, one of my favorite saxophonists, The Nightfly, Donald Fagen's breakout album. He's played with the great singer Randy Crawford. Anita Baker, Ashford and Simpson. I think I said the Bee Gees. The point is, these are some of the top recording artists of all time, and from so many different worlds. He's played with R&B stars. He's played with traditional jazz, jazz fusion, Latin jazz. He's played with rock artists. He's played with pop singers. He's played with rock artists. He's played with everyone. And he was in his early 70s, but for me anyway, as a fan, totally unexpected. Like I said, just naming all of those artists and some of those albums, you out there will have heard not just some, but a lot of Anthony Jackson's wonderful bass playing. Wish he was still around, but what an amazing legacy he has left behind. Rest in peace to one of the definitive bass players ever. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.